Welcome to episode 146 of Drew Sports Crew here on this Tuesday morning. Yes, a holiday edition of Drew Sports Crew here. I hope you all had a great holiday here this past week, right? And yeah, if you celebrate Christmas, hope you had a great Christmas as well. That's how, right, schedule. I was like, I got a story post Sunday on Christmas Eve because I was like, it's gonna be best if we hold off till Tuesday morning, right? Give people the holiday and then talk about, of course, the Bucks play on Christmas now. Seems as if that has became a tradition, which is great, especially with how the team's been the last few years. But obviously, the result was not as we hoped yesterday or expected. I'll recap that game. I know a lot of people were watching the football games too. The Nickmas game was going on, the Nickelodeon Christmas game um, was going on during that time. So we'll talk about that. Bucks are getting now 22-8. We'll also run through the Christmas Eve battle between the Carolina Panthers and the Green Bay Packers, where the Packers get a win. I'll talk about the pros and like. Obviously, it's all great that they won the game, but like how they won the game was not so great. So walk through that. We'll run through Week 17 already. This NFL season flew by. We already got 2 weeks left of the regular season. We'll run through how that has gone and how the last 2 weeks here remain for Green Bay. We'll go through the standing scenarios. That's a lot of fun. And then we'll also run through NBA standings too. I imagine this is probably gonna be a shorter episode just because again, this holiday week is always, so many vacations. I hope you all enjoy if you are on one. But otherwise, it's just a busy time for a lot of people. So I want to respect that as well here on my end. Otherwise, I actually have a good announcement here during the holiday season. I feel like all my announcements are good, but I got some new Drew Sports Crew stickers here. I, I don't think I have any down like with me right now, but during episode I will show you all them. Really looking forward to having them, and yeah, if you want one, just let me know. If you're in the area, we can see what we can do, but otherwise, I've gotten great feedback on them so far. Really happy with how they turned out, and really glad to get stickers with the new logo. I say new now; it's been a couple years, so um, just excited to have stickers now of the Drew Sports Crew logo, though. But figure during the holiday season, it's only right. But otherwise, going through recording this week. So as you know, Tuesday here was a little interesting compared to other weeks, and the holiday is the reason why, right? But might be coming your way again tomorrow. Journey to Million tomorrow night, probably around 5:30. Um, have a sad announcement for that one, which we'll get to there. Just Zach's going on a trip, so he's gonna be gone for a little bit here, a couple weeks. So won't be having him around for the show. So we'll be bringing Bernie Van Hoovel your way, but that's the main thing here. That's gonna be tomorrow night. It's gonna be a little later, 5:30 probably, and then next week I'll be back Sunday night. Oh, it's New Year's Eve, isn't it? I We'll see when I'll be back. I was gonna do Sunday night, but I was like, that yeah, that's New Year's Eve. So it'll probably be a Monday, New Year's Day episode. That's fine. I'll probably roll it like that. Um, a lot of basketball on New Year's Day, so it'll work out. I appreciate you all sticking around here during the holidays, and definitely, I know it's not Thanksgiving, but definitely thankful for you all here, just during the holidays. Think about things like that, and yeah, really appreciate all the listeners, all the support, and yeah, I appreciate having listeners to join me in the fantasy football league too, as I'm in the championship. So exciting stuff there. But let's run through it. We'll start with the Green Bay Packers. We'll go football and basketball. I think that works here on episode 146. So yeah, week 17 or week 16 has officially wrapped up. The Green Bay Packers get the win in Carolina against the Panthers. This was a weird game. Um, Definitely the last drive was the scary part for Green Bay. Their win probability shrunk. So it was at all points, they were favored to win the game. Carolina was never favored to win, but at one point it went down to 52 after it was as high as 97.4. So that was not ideal. But I won't go through the scoring summary, right? You all watched the game. I want to talk about some things though. Right? Game was 23-10 at half. Packers didn't score in the third. Carolina did 23-16. It was. And then the fourth quarter featured the most scoring basically of the game after a Packers touchdown. And then we had Carolina get 2 touchdowns. Look, the embarrassing thing, Carolina had more first downs, had more total yards, and 1 time of possession in this game. This game had the most yards Carolina has scored or not scored, gained in a season. In the season, they've scored the most points they have in a game this year. They're 2-13, mind you, and they dominated time of possession. The Packers played well offensively. 369 total yards. They scored 33 points, 25 first downs. This game should have been a blowout. This defense from the Green Bay now is, we knew it wasn't great coming in. We knew this. Well, we thought it actually was going to be a strong suit coming in. Maybe not a strong suit, but thought it was going to be the strongest part of the team. At this point of the year, again, 16 weeks through, it's the weak link, is how I would describe it. I mean, Carolina won almost every defense or every offensive category, which is remarkable for how this team has been this year. Look, it was great to have Jaire back. Just didn't feel the same Jaire, and it's not saying Jaire was this whole defense and it crumbled, because no, I'm saying that this defense is missing a guy in the secondary as well. I talked about getting, it would be great if they got Brian Branch, wouldn't it? A young safety out of Alabama who now is with Detroit, the North Division champs, but felt he was a guy that would have fit this, because they're really missing depth at safety right now. Is remarkable. Don't want to just pin there, right? I mean, the corner, they could use another corner, it feels. Preston Smith, he's solid. I just don't like he doesn't wow you. That name doesn't wow you. For example, being with Rashawn Gary on the other side, it's like, oh, they got Preston Smith there too, and it's like, okay, yeah, they do. He's solid, and he had a second half in this game. He played great. 4 QB hits. I just hope I hope Van Ness can evolve into that guy who is that prominent other edge alongside Gary after Gary got that extension. It's just got to work on getting the whole core developed is really what we need here. Quay Walker had a decent game. He's been has had his ups and downs in year 2 here. It was good to have Stokes back. Honestly, he's a guy we need to keep developing as well. But I just think this Packers secondary is there's just some holes. Okay, I know there's some holes. There's no denying it, and up front, there's been some work. Definitely missing some linebackers too, right? Campbell was out. He looked like he played hurt last week. I talked about against Tampa Bay. So you're missing a linebacker for sure. You're missing a safety. Those are 2 spots that need to be filled. Probably a corner, but it's like you're probably not going to draft one round 1 or 2. So I'm wondering kind of what the plan is going to be moving forward here for Green Bay, but just sad to see how kind of the defense just crumble apart. And Joe Barry is going to probably stick with the job until the end of the year. We talk about the Packers, kind of like the Bears, were very stubborn in terms of not wanting to fire head coaches or any sort of coaching personnel midway through the season. Like the Bears let go their D coordinator, but it was actually the D coordinator himself partying the ways. So really resigning is what I mean by that. It's gonna be weird moving forward. What the choice is right now, looks like they're gonna stick with him, but man, giving 30 points up to Carolina, their best offensive, it was their best offensive output of the year, whether you look at points, yardage, whatever. Bryce Young had his best game of his career. So not saying Bryce Young's a bust or anything, just he struggled a lot this year, and they really let him. He really looked great out there today, and it's unfortunate they let Baker Mayfield look like a goat too. And let's talk about the offense. How about that? Aaron Jones, 21 of 127, 6 yards per carry. 127 yards on the ground, 8 yards in the air, 135 yards today. Look, it was Aaron Jones' best game of the season. He was your player of the game. Jordan Love had 219 yards passing too. Again, he played. This is the Jordan Love we need, not to make mistakes. Very not conservative though either. It just he didn't force anything. It felt, and when Jordan Love does that, after this win too, I was like, for me, this was the one. Like they're gonna ride it out with Jordan Love. Even next year, like he's earned it. It's kind of like Baker with Green Bay, or not Green Bay with Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield's earned another year as a starter there. Like I don't think they're winning games. They're winning games because of him, not in spite of him. And I think that's the classic QB test, right? Not to go to Jimmy G, but look at what Jimmy G did in San Francisco those past few years. Were they winning because of him or in spite of him? They weren't winning because of him. I'll tell you that. I think Love is a guy you're winning games because of him, and I think that's a good indicator of coming back for another year here. Well, I mean, of course he'll be back next year, but like what I'm saying is like long term, what the commitment is, and after a year like this, I can see maybe even talks of another contract extension. Right, they signed him to sign before the year for that additional year. I could definitely see Love like trying to work something out here because right, he's not. He had that funk or whatever in the middle of the year where it was like, okay, he's in the 20s in quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm willing to bump him up now to like that 16 range, like 16 to 18. Like he's played a lot better. Not ready to go any farther than that just because of the experience level, but he has more passing touchdowns than Favre and Rodgers in their first like 25 starts, 30 starts or something. Um, the numbers are good, but on the receiving game, Tucker Kraft have yourself a day, 4 for 60. Had a very nice game here. Bo Melton was a guy who you didn't think was going to step up here. 4 for 44. Makes sense with all the guys out. Jaden Reed out. Christian Watson out. So they needed some guys to step up. And yeah, then Romeo Dobbs had a nice bounce back game after a rough couple weeks. 4 for 79 with a touchdown. Love to see that. Wicks had that touchdown as well. And Wicks has really stepped up. Like, you really like what you see from him is like he could be your wide receiver 3 if he feels in an offense, and he complements. Well, when Reed and Watson are healthy, he's great compliments to both those guys, and of course, how Tucker Kraft has performed too. It's going to be interesting to see if Luke Musgrave gets activated and will play before the year ends. He could return next week, I believe. I don't know if he will again. That's gonna be against Minnesota, so we're gonna have to wait out that situation. But let's go to the NFL standings here after, again, the Packers pick up that 33-30 win. Anders Carlson had some nice kicks in there, some not. It's been a frustrating season for him. And just the kickers that game, that was a rough game for both kickers. All right, so looking at the playoff standings, right? This is what matters for Green Bay. There is still a chance. If they would have beat Tampa Bay 2 weeks ago, it would have been high 70s, I believe. So frustrating now. But thanks to Minnesota losing, we have kind of a nice spot here of what we can see. So, all right, there's 16 teams in the NFC. Right, we know that. The Packers are ahead of, right, so there's been 4 teams eliminated: New York, Washington, Arizona, Carolina. Okay, so there's 12 teams left. The Bears are the 12th spot. Packers have the tiebreaker over them right now, but of course they play again later this year, so it could be moot. They're the 12th spot, probably going to get eliminated, being 6-9. Let's not talk about them. The Saints are the 11th spot. The Packers have tiebreaker over them based on the head-to-head win earlier in this year. That head-to-head tiebreaker will stand due to, again, not playing them again this year. Okay. However, it gets a little annoying. Atlanta, they beat Indianapolis this past week. Atlanta beat the Packers in that frustrating 26-25 win earlier in the year. I believe it was week 2. That win is going to end up being annoying here as they have it over Green Bay. So Atlanta's the 9. Minnesota is the 8. This is where Packers have an opportunity here. Packers play Minnesota this week. So When I say this week, next Sunday night. So there's an opportunity there to take over. That's the 8th spot. That 8th spot is not good enough for the playoffs, as we know. Seattle. This was an annoying one. Seattle comes back to beat Tennessee on Sunday. That impacts Green Bay as they are 8-7. They hold the 7 spots. We need the Rams to lose. The Rams. Why did I say the Rams? The Packers, when Brett Rypien was in there for Los Angeles midway through the year, the Packers beat the Rams. They beat them. And so they have the tiebreaker over them. So the Packers ideally need the Rams to lose a little bit here. Packers need to win out, of course. Packers need to finish 9-8. So they got to beat Minnesota. They need to beat, and then the Bears. Okay. They do that. They need the Rams to lose one game. If the Rams lose, they finish one game, they win one. They finish 9-8. Packers have tiebreaker over them. Packers beat Minnesota, they take care of them. They would have their 9th loss. They're done. They need Atlanta to lose though too. This is where this gets muddy. They need to finish with a better record than Atlanta. So they need Atlanta to lose one. Green Bay has to win. So it's crazy Atlanta might make the playoffs. How that team's been coached and managed, etc. It's been interesting. And then Seattle winning or losing. Ideally, we want Seattle to lose. But the thing is, Seattle has one more win than us. Is where it gets a little muddy. We don't have the tiebreaker with Seattle is going to be head-to-head division record. And the good news is Seattle's 1-4 in the NFC West. So that's perfect. That's the big thing that helps us out is it goes head-to-head division conference, I believe is the how we roll the tiebreaker. Yeah, it is. So the good news is we have a great case here where Packers, if they beat Minnesota, well, the Packers have to win out, right? So assuming they win out, they're gonna have a better division record than Minnesota. Okay, cool. They're gonna have a better division record than Seattle. Great. They're gonna have a better division record. Well, Atlanta doesn't matter. Atlanta's head to head. So my point is Packers win out. They need, and then it doesn't matter really what Atlanta does because they have as long as if Los Angeles and Seattle each lose a game the next 2 weeks, we have hope is what I'm saying. So right now it looks like I got, if I had to try to predict how the season ends up in the NFC, I still think I think Tampa's gonna win the South. They're 8-7 now. They've played well. They deserve to. I think they're the best team out in the South. It's gonna be Tampa's gonna have that 4 spot. Detroit, I'm gonna lock it. I don't think Detroit's gonna catch Philly. They could honestly. But if they do, so like it's gonna be San Francisco, Philly, Detroit, Tampa. Okay. And then Dallas is your 5. And then I don't think the Packers, let's say Seattle gets the 6, so then hopefully it's going to be Green Bay, Rams, Minnesota, Atlanta. One of those teams is going to get the 7. We hope it's Green Bay, but that's what we're looking at right now in the NFL. And let's move over here to the Milwaukee Bucks after this week. So the Bucks had, what was that, a 7-game win streak, 8-game win streak? Yeah, I believe it was a 7-1. And all good things come to an end on Christmas, unfortunately. But going through this past week, it was a really dominant week for Milwaukee. So, I mean, as it was the week before, it was a win against San Antonio by 13. Low drop 40, just casually. Orlando, they comes into town, and this Orlando team has been very respectable this year. They beat the Celtics. They've had some good wins. They're in the playoffs right on the East. And they beat them only by 4. Giannis puts up 37 and 10. Just not a great game offensively for me, Giannis. It's been great to see him night in, night out, just, no matter the opponent, just dominate. They play New York on Saturday, and they continue their undefeated streak against the Knicks. They win 130 to 111. Giannis drops 28 points with 7 assists in that one. And then on Christmas Day, they play them. And the Christmas game for me wasn't. It was sad because it wasn't a back and forth game, right? You want okay, you felt the Bucks were in it, you felt the Bucks were in it, but they trailed the whole game essentially. It was all Knicks. It felt from start to finish, like the Knicks were in control. And why were they? They shot 54% from the field. That's a good reason why the Bucks. It was just the Knicks played better. I don't think the Bucks played bad. Like if you go back and look at the stat sheet, the Knicks. Starting with like the Bucks side, like Giannis was 13 of 24, Middleton was 10 of 20. Middleton quietly had 24 points on Christmas. That was nice. 4 for 9 from 3. And then Lillard dropped 32. Just not a lot of depth scoring here was really the difference. Like the bench only put up 8 or how many 20 points. So like not a whole lot of bench depth there, unfortunately. But yeah, the difference was how great the starting five played for New York in terms of efficiency, and then also off the bench. Like bench points were huge. Emmanuel quickly put up. He just came in 22 minutes. He was 7 for 10 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, plus 14 plus minus in 22 minutes. So that was rough too. When quickly came in, that I believe was the third quarter, just lights out. And Barrett was efficient. The Bucks have played the Knicks last couple times without RJ Barrett, so that's made it a little different. Mitchell Robinson wasn't in this one as he wasn't on Saturday, as he's out, I believe, for the year. So just kind of a different front for New York. Maybe help them out there too. But again, Bucks fall to 22-8. So we're not complaining about this one too bad. Just overall though, it was a good week offensively. Like night in, night out, you don't have to worry about this team not being able to get to 100. Like 129, 130, 118, 132, 128, 146, 140. Like this is one of the high scoring offenses in the league. Definitely the defense has taken a step back from last year, as we all thought that coming in. So that is the case. But going through the rest of this week, what we're looking at for the Bucks: at Brooklyn, at Cleveland. And those games are going to feature some good offense as well. Brooklyn, not the greatest defensive team. Cleveland with the front or with the centers, yes. Right, with Jared. I don't know if Jared Allen's back yet, but with him and Evan Mobley, both prominent defensive guys in the paint. But perimeter defense is rough with Cleveland. And then Monday, Wednesday, Bucks play the Pacers twice. Both those games going to be good rivalry games. Also going to feature a lot of scoring, not a lot of defense, as those teams both rank in the top. I believe in the top 5 in scoring. So that's gonna be interesting. And the Bucks have an interesting schedule too coming up. Like it should be easy, and then just by a snap of a finger, it turns hard. There's the stretch in mid-January. It's Boston, Golden State, Sacramento, Cleveland. But then you're rewarded with back-to-back games against Detroit. So that's how the Bucks are looking right now. Let's run through the standings here before we wrap up. Bucks right now 22-8. They're a game and a half back of the one seed. They are the number 2 seed. They're a game and a half in front of the team in the 3 spot, the 76ers. Orlando Magic then are the 4, Miami Heat the 5, New York the 6. Then the play-in tournament would feature Cleveland, Indiana, Brooklyn, and the Bulls somehow make it. Wow. At 13 and 18, you're a playoff team in the East. Thank you, NBA play-in tournament. The Warriors sneak into the play-in tournament, 15 and 15. The West is just a lot harder, it feels. Well, it is. We know that. It helps when Detroit's in your division, let alone your conference. Last 26 games have all been losses for Detroit. It's been before Halloween to Christmas, I believe, it's been the win percentage 0.069. They have the highest paid coach in the NBA, I believe. Or second compared to Pop. I don't know if he signed his before or after, but in case you're wondering, one of the wins was at home, one was on the road. So they have not yet to record a win in either of those places. They have one win at least in both. But looking good for the Bucks. They are out of a playoff spot. They are right now 10 games up on a playoff spot. So like, I'm not worried about what to see from the Bucks for that. Definitely 2 in the division. They're gonna have another Central Division title if anyone cares about those. They're 5 games up on Cleveland. I would imagine that would stick like throughout the year, barring some collapse. But anyways, that's all I got here on episode 146. Again, tomorrow night I'll be with Zach Rouse, Jared Valesky for another episode of Journey to Million. But otherwise, I hope you all have a great week here. Have a happy new year as well. That comes up. It's like boom, holiday, little few days off, boom. Okay. At Drew Sports Crew, right? All the content, Instagram, right? If you check out X or TikTok, also Drew Sports Crew on YouTube and Facebook. I do one post a day. And just check those out and try to keep you all informed on that. So have a great week, everybody. That's going to be it here for myself, Drew Skyberg, here on this Tuesday morning. Thank you all for listening to yet another episode of Drew Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.